What's up, you gorgeous noobs? Let me ask you a serious question real quick. Why is Gonzalo de Córdoba still out here ruining people's KVK screenshots in 2025? No flashy animations, no TikTok hype, no broken S-tier OMG YouTube thumbnails. And yet, every time someone swarms him, their march mysteriously disappears, and suddenly they're typing lag in Kingdom Chat. So today, we're talking about the truth about Gonzalo de Córdoba in today's meta. Is he outdated? Is he secretly cracked? Or is he just that quiet commander that siege mains gatekeep like a family recipe? I'm breaking down what Gonzalo actually does on the field, who he's still good with, and whether this man deserves your heads or your respect. Siege mains, this one's for us. Let's get into it. Oh, wait, actually, I have an update. Rillafane from the Mr. Siege Discord mentioned to me that some skills that say all targets don't actually work properly and only affect the one target. And after testing this out, I have confirmed that Gajah's debuff does not spread via AoE, despite wording of all targets. My apologies about this error, and I strive to provide accurate information and have honest conversations about this game. Alright, let's start with Gonzalo's first skill, his active skill, Pike and Shot Pioneer, and this is where people really underestimate him. At melee range, this thing hits for a 2400 damage factor AoE. At range distance, it's still 1200 AoE, which is already higher than what a lot of other range commanders are flexing. Now here's the important part people miss. Each additional target hit reduces the damage by 15%, but the AoE isn't random. The damage circle is centered on your primary target. That means if you're positioning correctly, clumps, swarms, murder balls, you're forcing that AoE to hit exactly where the fight is thickest. And let me be very clear here. This is the highest damage factor in the game for a ranged commander. No gimmicks, no RNG procs, just raw, repeatable AoE smite damage that absolutely punishes bad positioning and greedy swarms. This skill alone is why Gonzalo trades so well when everyone decides to dogpile him, and why siege mains smile when they see a blob forming. Now, if you thought Gonzalo's active skill was already rude, Lilith said, nah, let's make it faster, hit harder, and disrespect even more people, because this next skill is what turns Gonzalo from solid to why is my march gone? Gonzalo's second skill, Conqueror of Granada, looks basic at first glance, but don't let that fool you. You get 20% attack, which is always welcome, no complaints there. You also pick up 15% march speed, which means you're getting to the fight faster, rotating quicker, and getting out before someone decides to hard focus you. Huge quality of life bonus in KVK. But the real villain upgrade? 10% increased ranged smite damage. That means Gonzalo's already ridiculous AoE active skill just hits even harder. More smite, more pain, more people asking in chat what just happened. This is where Gonzalo's active skill goes full boom boom, like it's playing on an Apocalypse Gaming live stream and somebody just walked into the wrong murder ball. Simple skill, clean stats, and it directly amplifies the thing Gonzalo is already best at, deleting clustered marches. Now this is where Gonzalo goes from solid ranged commander to absolute swarm nightmare. His third skill, Viceroy of Naples, looks innocent on paper. You get 10% defense, cool, we'll take it, but the real value? The hidden mechanic that most people don't respect until it's already too late. Every time you use an active skill, you have a 50% chance to gain a Vigilant stack for 8 seconds. These stacks can go up to 2, and here's the nasty part. The cooldown resets every time you gain a new stack. So if RNG is smiling on you, you're sitting on double stacks way more than people expect. Now, when an enemy actually hits you at melee range, Gonzalo consumes one vigilance stack and instantly fires back with smite damage, a 200 damage factor, instantly. But that's not even the best part. That hit also disarms the enemy for 1 full second, meaning they can't even launch basic attacks. So what happens in real fights? They swarm you, they walk into melee, they get smacked, disarmed, and suddenly their march isn't doing anything. That 1 second disarm is huge. It buys you time to reposition, dismantle the swarm, or straight up walk away while they're swinging air. This skill is why Gonzalo doesn't just survive swarms, he punishes them. Alright, if the last skill was the warning label, this one is the part where the swarm realizes they messed up, because skill 4 doesn't just help Gonzalo survive, it makes attacking him a bad life decision. Gonzalo's 4th skill, Order of Santiago, is where everything starts stacking into something disgusting. First off, you take 20% less ranged counterattack damage. And like we talked about earlier, ranged counterattack is basically the only damage Gonzalo should be taking if you're playing him correctly. So, in practice, this is essentially a 20% all damage reduction. And yes, that is huge. But Lilith wasn't done yet. Every time your troops are hit by a basic attack, you have a 10% chance to gain a 40% bonus to ranged normal damage. Let that sink in. For Gonzalo, normal damage is all damage. Smite, ranged basic attacks, ranged counterattacks, all of it scales off this. So what's actually happening in a swarm? The enemy hits you, you take less damage, and sometimes you hit back way harder because of it. This skill turns Gonzalo into one of those commanders where every extra march that jumps on you is just rolling dice against themselves. Less damage taken, more damage dealt, and yet another reason Gonzalo absolutely punishes swarms instead of fearing them. And now we get to the expertise, El Gran Capitan. And if you've noticed a theme so far, yes, it absolutely continues. This expertise turns Gonzalo into a full-blown damage monster and cements him as one of the best swarm punishers in the game. First, you gain 15% more ranged normal damage, and by now you already know, for Gonzalo, normal damage is all damage. Everything he does scales harder because of this. Next, if your target is at ranged distance, you deal 20% more ranged smite damage. So that massive AoE active skill we talked about earlier, yeah, it hits even harder. More range damage, more smite, more pain in murder balls. And then, if the fight collapses into melee, Gonzalo gains 30% increased counterattack damage. That puts him on par with commanders like Hera, Charles Martel, and a few others that are known for being absolute nightmares to hit up close. So no matter where the fight happens, at range, he nukes. In murder balls, he deletes. In melee, he punishes. El Gran Capitan doesn't give Gonzalo a new gimmick. It just cranks everything he already does up to villain levels. This is why Gonzalo isn't just still usable in today's meta. He's still dangerous. So let's wrap all of Gonzalo's skills together and look at why this commander actually works in today's meta. Skill 1. Pike and Shot Pioneer. Massive AoE smite damage, 2400 at melee, 1200 at range, centered around your primary target. This is the highest damage factor for a ranged commander and the backbone of Gonzalo's murder ball pressure. Skill 2. Conqueror of Granada. More attack, more march speed, and 10% increased ranged smite damage, directly amplifying his already insane active skill. Skill 3. Viceroy of Naples. Defense plus vigilance stacks that fire back with instant smite damage and disarm enemies when they hit you in melee. This is what turns swarms into a bad idea. Skill 4. Order of Santiago. 20% reduced ranged counterattack damage, which is basically all the damage Gonzalo should be taking. plus a chance to gain 40% bonus range normal damage when hit. The more they swing, the harder Gonzalo hits back. Expertise, El Gran Capitan. Even more ranged normal damage, boosted ranged smite at distance, and 30% counterattack damage in melee, putting Gonzalo in the same punishment tier as Hera and Charles Martel. Put it all together, and you get a commander that thrives at range, punishes swarms, scales harder the longer the fight goes, and doesn't care whether the fight stays clean or turns into chaos. That's the truth about Gonzalo de Córdoba. Not flashy, not trendy, but if people keep swarming him, he will keep punishing bad decisions. Now, the real question becomes, how do we make him hit like an angry truck that doesn't stop? This is where the talent build really starts doing some work. For talents, we're going full engineering, and this is non-negotiable if you want Gonzalo to perform the way he's supposed to. First up, forbearance. This talent is huge. It directly buffs smite damage, which means it scales Gonzalo's active skill, his disarm procs, and basically everything that makes him scary in a fight. From there, I dip 1 point into fight to the death in the attack tree. It's a small investment, but it's free damage, and it helps Gonzalo trade better when fights get messy. I also max effortless, because Gonzalo shines in longer fights. The longer the engagement goes, the more value you're squeezing out of his kit, and this talent helps him ramp that damage even harder. And finally, martial mastery for 6% increased all damage. This is one of those talents that doesn't look flashy, but it boosts everything Gonzalo does: smite, normal damage, counterattack, all of it. So the philosophy here is simple: buff smite as much as possible, increase total damage scaling, and make Gonzalo stronger the longer people insist on fighting him. This talent setup turns Gonzalo into exactly what he wants to be: a slow burn, high punishment commander that gets scarier the longer the fight lasts. All right, talents are locked in. Now let's talk about the part everyone actually cares about. Who do you throw Gonzalo with to start ruining people's days? Pairings for Gonzalo are actually very simple because you're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. First, Gajah Mada. This is all about smite damage synergy and sustain, and straight up, this is the best ranged march in the game. You get huge AoE pressure, great trades, and enough survivability to stay in the fight while everyone else slowly melts. If you want Gonzalo at his absolute peak, this is the pairing. Now, if you prefer a bit more speed and burst damage, you can pair Gonzalo with Margaret instead. She brings faster rotations, quicker engages, and more immediate damage, which is great if you like hit-and-run play or jumping between objectives. So your choice really comes down to playstyle. Gajah for maximum value, sustain, and long fights. Margaret for speed, burst, and quicker tempo. Either way, Gonzalo stays the star of the show. You're just choosing how fast the pain gets delivered. And that's the truth about Gonzalo de Córdoba in today's meta. He's not flashy, he's not trendy, but if people keep swarming him, he will keep punishing bad decisions. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you running Gonzalo already, or is this the video that finally convinced you to dust him off and start terrorizing murder balls? Drop your favorite Gonzalo pairing in the comments and let me know how many marches he sent back home. If this helped you out, smash that like button. It lets YouTube know Siege mains still exist. And if you're new here, hit subscribe so you don't miss future commander breakdowns, siege guides, and Gator-approved KVK chaos. Until next time, play smart, punish swarms, and remember, if they dogpile you, that's not pressure, that's free value. Pleb out.
Gumbo in the pot, thick steam in the air. Season it heavy, got the spices to scare. My siege drops fire, watch the towers crumble. Archers take flight, but they fumble in the jungle. Blades clash loud, infantry in the grind. Cavalry charge, but they fall to behind. It's the flavor of war, every bite is a lesson. Pew-Tang clan's the ultimate weapon. Pew-Tang clan ain't nothing to mess with. Pew-Tang